Okay, I'm back with a another little video here about ebooks, and some 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 things that I wanted to do today is basically just say that I'm really happy with the amount of information that I've been getting um, from different various people and people wanting to share their experiences with me. And a lot of the comments that come in, you can see down below this video um, on underneath the last video. I because of the end of school right now, that with my teaching and all the projects that I'm involved in, I don't have enough time to compile all that information and actually type it out in the video. But if if you're watching this for the first time, there is a lot of information that people are sending in, and they're putting it in the comment section. So I would encourage you to check down there. Um, and anyway, so what I wanted to do today was talk mostly about the Barnes and Noble website and kind of my experience in the last 3 or 4 weeks, because they've made a bunch of changes, and it seems like changes on the Barnes and Noble website happen, constantly. Before I get into that, I'm just going to say that we're it's like we're the process of getting our books onto Google Books has taken a lot longer than we thought. We're just kind of starting to get to where it looks like we're going to have them up in the next week or so. And then again on iTunes, we've purchased some ISBNs, and you have to have those for iTunes. So things are kind of slow as far as getting on other sites, but I am getting there. Anyway, so what I wanted to get into real quick was uh, if you look here on the Barnes and Noble website, um, I'm just going to go through a few things that I found with my book. So if you click here on Nook Books, or just mouse over and then come over here to Kids Books, I think that's a logical search that a lot of people will do. If they've purchased a Nook or if they have another device, because Barnes and Noble does have apps that you can run on, like on iPad and iPhone, and you can run on Android and various other devices. But anyway, if you come to this kids section, you'll notice that they're selling the typical fare um, that they're pushing, from big publishers, and that's kind of expected. I mean, that's the experience that you get when you go to Barnes and Noble. Um, but then if you come over on the side, they have these various other searches that you can do, and these are the ones that I've been talking about in other videos. These common searches that people can click on right here. They can find something that they're interested in. So you have favorite authors, best-selling series, and stuff like that. Um, and where my books tend to show up mostly are in these searches here. Um, and so if we look right here, I have a couple of books in ages 3 to 5, and I think that's a logical thing that a lot of people would click on if they have a 3 to 5 year old, and or a 6 to 8 year old, or a 0 to 2 year old. So if we click there, and then basically you'll see right here, it's I have it set to show 10 results. You can show, I believe you can show 100 now, but there's only 602 books in here. So a week ago there was, or a few weeks ago, there were like 12 or 15,000 books or something in this. I don't know why there's only 602 books showing up in kids books 3 to 5, but I'm also not going to complain because Monkey and Croc is now number 5 on that list. And so when people click on age 3 to 5, they're going to see my book, and so that's a good thing. It also makes me wonder, though, is that a good thing or a bad thing for future books? Is it going to be hard for me to get another book into this category? It seems like there should be more, so that does kind of have me worried a little bit. And another thing, a few weeks ago, and I had started to do a video on this, and as soon as I finished making the video, they changed their site again. But a few weeks ago, um, you it went from, well, you can see all these 99-cent books on the front page, and I have a theory that Barnes and Noble experimented with their algorithm on searches, and there's all kinds of ways they could do that. But a few weeks ago, it was only the most expensive books were showing up on the front page, and my book was getting pushed back every day. It was losing ground, um, for no reason other than they changed something. It was obvious that they changed something, because overnight all the books that were doing well, that were around my book, all of a sudden all of us started shifting down, and they were mostly self-published books, and they started moving and losing ground. And meanwhile, all the most expensive books were, the Nook Kids books were doing well. And I think that probably what they did was they probably changed their algorithm to look for books that were generating the most money. So whereas my book is only 99 cents, it's not bringing in as much money as, a few sales at 13.99 or something like that. So if you look at, you sell a few of these Barbie books and you're making a lot of money for Barnes and Noble. So I think they experimented with that, and then last week they changed it back, or actually the beginning of this week they changed it back, and boom, I just started moving up, and then I ended up on the front page again. So of this search. So anyway, just to I think it's important to know that, because what works today and what's happening, what's working now might not work tomorrow. I'm going to click back here on page 5, and then I'm going to go back again and show you where my third book, Polywog, is. And it's clear back at number 97. Now, it's only selling anywhere from 1 to 5, maybe 6 copies a day right now. And so it's just not really performing anywhere near like Monkey and Croc, which is getting anywhere from 40 to 60 sales a day. And so one thing that I'm kind of worried about is, if I leave this book alone, can it work its way up on its own? I mean, the 99 cents thing really helps. If someone's coming along and they're searching through these books here, and they see $12.99, $11.99, $3.95, and then they get down here to, boom, 99 cents, there's definitely an advantage that I have on price, and that's what I'm going for. I don't have a big publisher behind me, so I'm competing on price right now. And I'm hoping that book can work its way up in the next few weeks or months. But right now, it seems like for the last week, it's just kind of sat right in that position. Excuse me, even with the changes that Barnes and Noble has made. So anyway, another thing that happened just kind of out of the blue is that my Ticklebugs book was showing up in ages 3 to 5 when I had set it in my account settings that I wanted it to be an age 0 to 2 book. And for some reason, I filled everything out right. I emailed Barnes & Noble. I got some formed responses back that said we're working on the site. And, but it was showing up in 3 to 5. I even got a negative comment saying this book is too young for my 2.5-year-old. Well, yeah, it is, because it's really meant for the target group is like a 1-year-old, 1.5-year-old, and that was really frustrating. But after last week, they made another change, or the change that happened at the beginning of the week, and so now Ticklebugs is actually on page 3 here, and so it's getting sales, and it's getting about anywhere from 10 to 20 sales a day. So it's doing all right. And I think there's probably less market for children's books age 0 to 2 than there are 3 to 5. There's only 177 results in this category. This is actually kind of encouraging. I haven't uploaded a book since a few months ago, so it will be interesting to see what happens if you upload a book and set it for children's books age 0 to 2. Would you end up being the 178th book in that category? If so, to me that's really encouraging. But you just never know, and it's really hard to complain when you have a complaint, because you are getting a formed response a lot of times. They do get back to you, and sometimes it is a little bit more tailored to your needs. But I get the feeling that at Barnes and Noble they're overworked, or they're understaffed, or this is all new to them. I also get the feeling that this is a big experiment for them as well. And I mean, it's both exciting and frustrating, and I just kind of want to put this kind of information out there so that you guys can be better informed on on how you want to target your books. I would, if I were you, before I spent time setting up my book, I would spend a lot of time on this site, and I would go through some of these searches, and and really try to see where books are coming up. Um, I had put a keyword insects in, and I haven't looked at this for a long time, so this is going to be totally new for me to see this right now. But for tickle bugs, I put in insects, and I have never seen that book show up. Now let's see. There's 2,000 results. So I don't know if we can refine the search to children's books with insects. Let's see what happens if we do that. How many we end up with. I need to hit go. And now there's more. So that doesn't make any sense. But now what they're probably doing is they're going on the whole site. So these aren't Nook books anymore. They're now searching the whole site. Their search does leave something to be desired, because it just it's hard to search for different things that you really want. If I do type in the word tickle, it should. Oops. They threw in an extra thing there. Let's see here. Let's try that again. And so tickle bugs is number one. And if you search bugs, and we should still be in Nook books there. Yeah, it's also number one in bugs. So it can get sales if someone happens to go on the site and searches the word tickle or bugs. It's not going to happen every day probably, but over time, if their site gets bigger, that might happen. Let's see about frog. What happens when we type in the word frog? And there's pollywog there, so not bad. And monkey has been flirting between number one and number two, so I feel like I have good positioning in a lot of searches. And like I said before, I'll be updating again when I get my books on Google Books and my results with iTunes and iBooks, and Amazon again if they release a color Kindle, hopefully soon. And I also am working on another app right now for Barnes & Noble, because I think I have something a little more creative that might get people's attention rather than just a standard book, the standard kind of things that I've been working on. So anyway, that's what I have right now. And again, I would love to get more information from other people. People have been sending in. You can get your books formatted here or there, and I think that's great. And I'm learning along the way. I don't have time to check out every single place where you can get your book formatted, but I do think it's important that we share this information, because again, you're not going to find it in a book anywhere right now. And there are a lot of companies out there, unfortunately, that are kind of predatory in their terms of service and the amount of money that they want to take. And I know I have a friend that's looking at Lulu right now, and and there are some good things and some bad things. For if you want to publish a book on iTunes, Lulu will give you an ISBN, but they will also take a percentage of the money. So then you have two people involved in with their hands in your money. You've got iTunes taking their cut, and then you have Lulu taking their cut, and then you get what's left over, and by then it's going to be pretty small. Now that might be worth it, because buying ISBNs and dealing with Apple as far as getting approved, my brother-in-law who's been working with me as a programmer, he's just barely gone through the approval process, and it is a bear. It's really kind of frustrating. And so if you don't want to do all that, all the dealing there, Lulu is making it possible. So I think the answers too is that for everybody, for every person, it's going to be a little bit different on what they think is a good deal or not, and what they think fits into their life better. Some people really want to have a lot of control, and don't mind doing extra work. Some people really don't want to do any extra work, don't have time to do extra work, and just want to get a book out there. And getting a cut is better than no cut. I will say this, at 99 cents on Barnes & Noble, I'm getting about the same amount of money that I get when I sell a regular physical picture book. I mean, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? I mean, I'm getting 40 cents out of that dollar, and when I sell a physical picture book, that's pretty close to what I'm getting. I get a little bit more than that, but not much. Um, well under a dollar. And so, it's pretty comparable as far as units sold, that you have to sell in order to make the same amount of money. Anyway, that's what I have now, and thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.